So, we go again. The Darkness to Light Godcast, number 28, 38, number 38. Number 38. And this one is called the Next Level. Leveling up to the next level. And I've been kind of toying with whether I was even going to do this one because of where I've been over the last wee bit. It's been an incredibly challenging period over the last kind of probably a week or so, I would say. And as always with this stuff, my intention is to report where I am. I'm documenting, that's what it's always been with the posts, with the kind of social media stuff. I'm just really sharing my journey, and I'm documenting it, and a lot of it's for me. I did a post last night. I was out walking yesterday morning and did a post at a woodpecker, which I've been trying to see for years. I've been the amount of times I've spent standing underneath trees in nature, and you can hear them, but you can't see them. And yesterday morning I was out on a walk and had just the most incredible, really profound experience. No phone. I've stopped taking my phone on the walks again. Getting a break, and I've normally take my phone just to kind of capture some if I see anything, and anytime I don't take my phone, that's not when I see the best stuff. And yesterday morning I was absolutely blessed with Mother Nature, and I actually caught the sight of a woodpecker. It was just incredible, brought me to tears. It was so powerful. I don't know why. Maybe just stopping and maybe a wee bit of relief and maybe the memory of what it's all about, perhaps. But last night I put a post out, basically just again talking about it and speaking from my heart, and talking about that the poem came through about the experience I had with the woodpecker. And I realised that when I look back on the post, when I look back on over the last since 2016, when I basically came online when the Vortex opened. When I look back at the posts, there's 5,000 posts on Instagram now. When I look back at them, I remember the day, and I remember the experience, and I almost get to relive it. So a lot of the obviously it's to try and help people. That's the primary intention, but I get to relive it as well, and I get to remember because there's so much going on in our lives. I'm no different from anybody else, so when you get to look back on them, then you get a chance to kind of take a snapshot. And the way it's been over the last wee bit, and how much I struggle it's been recently, again I find myself in a position where I'm fine now, but I didn't want to be here in terms of being in this position, in this space that I find myself in with this work. It's been an incredible journey. It's hard for me sometimes to even contemplate, what I've been through over the last 28 years of this healing journey, which still continues to this day, and the lessons that are coming through, the expansion that's coming through. Again, I'm always aware of, I'm getting it for myself, but I feel like, that bridge or a channel so that other people can get it behind me, and I can pass it on. This vehicle I've got with the Vortex, that's what it's all about, is to pass it on to other people. Always getting it for myself and then paying it forward. And a lot of that is, there's a lot of highs. It's mostly on the up, but there's a lot of time, especially over probably the last 6 months or so, but it's been really challenging to the point where a lot of times, and even over the last week, I've been like, what am I doing? What the fuck? Like this is too hard. It's too difficult. I can't keep going, and obviously I can. But it's like when you get into the places of, you're not getting the results, or the way that I would like it to unfold, and the way that I would like to make it happen. When that doesn't happen, then it's very easy as a human being, to go fuck it, and then like, what else can I go and do? Got to go back to doing Wendy's and back to the building trade. Which is a terrible idea, and it sobers me up very, very quickly when I consider that. But the last kind of week or so has been very much been about that. It's been a really, really difficult time in so many different ways, the hardest it's been for a long time. And with all of this stuff, what am I really doing? What is it I'm teaching? And this is where people see me online, and there's a lot of God stuff coming through recently. I believe that's really the kind of the essence of my work, is to help people reconnect back to the divine, reconnect back to the self, the true self, the authentic self, the bit that's inside every single one of us. I'm a layman. I am, I'm here to try and, give people the experience. That's my intention, and to help them remember the divinity, the power that's inside each and every one of us. That's what my whole journey's been about. And really all the other stuff that I share, whether it's the breath work or the cold exposure, the meditation, relaxation, there are parts to it, and absolutely with the programme, the intentional life. There's a lot of personal development in it. That's probably, in fact, it is the starter for 10. Really kind of being aware of, what's possible, and then, the work that would be required to get to that place you would like to get to. But eventually, it leads to the place of, I'm going to be talking about spirituality, I'm going to be talking about God, I'm going to be talking about, how you get there and why you should do that, and why, I know that it fixes every single thing that it touches. I've seen that again this week many times, and been absolutely blessed when you see the difference and the impact that it makes on people inside just a couple of hours, no matter what comes through the door, and they get to basically get on about this stuff that I've been working on for so long now, and that's great. That side of it is absolutely fantastic. I love it, and at the same time, it's very, very frustrating, the situation that I now find myself in, and the way that my reality is manifesting for me. And so many lessons this last week. When you're in the gutter, when you're really struggling, that's when the best. If you can stay conscious, that's when the most growth and the best lessons will come. It'd be very easy to disappear, and do whatever you need to do to run away from it. But if you can stay in the pocket, as I've been able to do this last week, and just be run about it, and really kind of, what are the lessons? What is the, what am I meant to be getting for this? What's the reasons that I'm going through this? Then what's now starting to come out, even just over the last couple of hours. This morning I wasn't going to do this. I felt I was planning to do it, but I kind of knew that I wasn't. I was kidding myself on. And then a conversation with my wife, and just, then you remember, and then before you know it, a couple of wee synchronicities have just happened over the last hour or so. That helped me remember, what it's all about and what the mission's all about, and gave me some kind of fresh wind for myself to even enable me to come on and basically talk the way that I'm going to. So the next level for me has came through the result of much contrast, as with everything, especially with this work. Any great gains, any massive leaps forward, whether it's in consciousness or whether it's, the heroic journey. The hero always falls and crashes and burns normally, and isn't, questions everything, whether they're good enough, whether they can make it, whether they can, and then there's always the rising up. That's every great story. And certainly myself over the last week, as heavy as it's been, as I've been going through it, you've got the ability and the choice, with this work to, see it for what it is. And then I remember Anthony Robbins saying, don't see it worse than it is, and don't see it better than it is, just see it as it is. And I've been very much trying to do that over the last week, just kind of staying present, staying in the moment, and hoping that, because it's never going to go on forever. And eventually, we'll be doing the correct work and the correct practices, which I absolutely have been doing over the last week, like an absolute madman. Then I'm starting to see some light at the end of the tunnel. And the current reality of where I am with this work is that it's not really been working for me for quite a long time now, in terms of, what I believe that I should be getting from it, in terms of my own satisfaction, being happy, being joyful, like flying, fulfilling my potential, really, is what I really teach to everybody, and that's the same for me, and I think that the challenge that I've faced with all of this stuff over the years, many times, and this is just really is coming up for very much just now, but being aware of how much I've basically given myself away, and to the detriment of Jim, the physical being, and now over the last week, after not feeling that great for quite a wee while now, probably started last year, we had the everything virus, as I call it, but then starting to develop some physical symptoms within my body, and I'm going to keep them private and personal to me. They're nobody's business, it's basically, and talking about it, it wouldn't help me or anybody, because the healing process that needs to take place, it's between me and God. I need to do it myself, and the minute you share any of this stuff, I remember at the beginning I was basically learning how to meditate, and I was getting some incredible experiences, probably years and years into it, but I was healing myself for the mental health stuff, and I was getting into the spiritual work. And I remember I'd be out on the bike, or I'd be out running with somebody, and they would ask me about, meditation or what it is, and I'd say, and I would fess up a wee bit, and I would share, what I'd experienced either that morning or the morning before, or some great realisation. And very quickly, whether they would respond or not, a lot of times it was just silence, and nothing would come back. But the fact I'd even verbalised it, then it felt like you're almost like defending a position, and the ego is invoked, and also they're now the observer looking in on you, and the stuff that I'm dealing with The way that I'm deciding to get through it, and the way that I'm going to go through it, is by keeping it all to myself. I'm going to share a wee bit, just to explain where I am. That's all I'm really doing here, is talking about where I am, but also, the solutions, and I suppose the path that I'm going to be going on is to try and help people in the future with the journey that I'm on. It's very, very simple. So at this moment in time, I am not doing the best. I've got some physical stuff going on within my body, and it's as a result of, I believe, the last 6 years since the Vortex opened, absolutely, but really the last year or so, where last year almost killed me in so many different ways, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. At one point, I was broken. End of the year, twice, really close to burnout. My acupuncturist, who's my doctor, basically said, "Look, you're on the ropes here. Like, be careful." And obviously, I didn't listen and kept going. That was before the Scottish tour. And then all the weekends away, and all the hundreds of people, and all for free, all the desire to help people, and really just continuously give myself away. I now reach a place now where my body is in dis-ease. Absolutely, I am exhausted and I am absolutely burst. Would be the Scottish way of putting it. There's not much left in terms of the way I'm feeling and the way I have felt over the last week. I've never felt this before. I've got nothing left. I am absolutely done. It's been a fascinating process. It's been really hard to take, and that feeds into a lot of it, I think, with the stage of life I'm getting into now. 53, and I am still a young man. But you start to, 20s, 30s, you're just unconscious and you're rattling through it. I remember the stuff I was doing in my 30s and my 40s even, with the martial arts and the Ironman and ultra distance running and just training 30 hours a week. You're indestructible. And then round about 50, ish probably, off the back of, a life that's been blessed in so many ways, but really difficult, and some of the dunce I've taken along the way have absolutely left an imprint in me. And I still think back a lot to, don't think back a lot to, but I'm aware of, the significant event that happened to me in 1996, where, and I remember my dad saying to me, I never witnessed this, but the surgeon in Mallorca, the first place that they took me to, the hospital in Mallorca, to repair my body, the top surgeon, heart surgeon, couldn't believe I hadn't died because of the stress my heart was under. I should have been dead, that thing that I went through in Ibiza. So since then, it's been a gift, in terms of the life I've been able to live. I'm very much aware of that and very grateful for that, obviously. But at the same time, I've not got it for free. The old Eastern philosophy of the heart only gets so many beats. I absolutely agree with that. How many I've got left in terms of this life's journey. And I look to two sides of my dad's family, who are still all in their 80s and their 90s, and his mum and dad are bulletproof. And then my mum's side, a wee bit lesser, a bit of kind of health stuff going on. My gran died of cancer when I was young. She was young as well. I think she was in her 50s when she died, mid-50s. I lost an uncle really young as well, and my mum was 74 when she died. So it's as Murphy dog comes in. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? There you go. Right down. Go you settle down. Go and settle down. I'll deal with the dog. In. She'll settle down in 2 seconds. Good girl. There she goes. Let me help her. I tried to bring her in, but she wouldn't come. Now she's here. One of my healers, and glad she's here. What a dog. So as I'm getting older, and as I'm making my way through this journey, then as my body's changing as well, and a lot of the stuff that's coming up just now, a lot of the ailments and the evidence of where I'm at, where my physical body's at, then I'm being placed in a position where it certainly puts a light on the stage in life that I'm at, and as I teach for everybody else and I share with everybody else, it's all about fulfilling your potential. And for me, that's been, over the last 5 or 6 years, it's been full gas. There's been no stop to it at all. It's been, just this constant, never-ending striving, to take this to the world and to help as many people as possible. for the first 23, 24 years, it was for free, helping people for free. And then, over the last couple of years, it's probably since after COVID, the exchange of taking money off people and because they weren't valuing it, that absolutely. And, now, where I'm at just now, in the phase that I'm in, it's interesting for me how it's came out and how it's came up, because there was absolute stagnation last year. I was absolutely done in last year, and then managed to get away for a few days holiday over the holiday, a working holiday between Christmas and New Year. And really since then, I've been back up to speed, loads of stuff to get excited about. We had the Experience Live during January, which was great. Version 2 of the programme's about to get released, which is fantastic. Loads of really good stuff, loads of people getting on about it. But the way for me and how quick the wheels have come off again, it's a real indication of, right, okay, this isn't working. Like, what else? What do you need to do? What's the next level? What's the next step? What else can you do to get it for myself? That thing that I'm trying to teach everybody else, I too need to get it for myself. And over the last while, I've been basically giving myself away to the point now where I need to do something about it. I need to change. And as always, the lessons that I'm getting, the lessons that are coming through, the path that's unfolding every single day, I am really excited about. And probably for the first time, I've always really the realisation has been huge in terms of I've been looking for help with this so many times over the years, and every single time that somebody comes in and gets run about it and tries to help me or does help me in some way, shape or form, I always seem to get disappointed in some way, and that isn't fair on them. It really isn't. Everybody's got their own life to live. Everybody's on their own path, on their own journey, and for me, one of the big realisations, over the last couple of days is that I need to stop looking for help from anybody. This work is mine, and I need to take full responsibility for it. And it's my job to get it to the world. And the people that show up and the people that want to help, a lot of them are going to come and go. But at the same time, it's. I think the minute I try to say, okay, somebody's here to help, and then you try and share it a wee bit. Not share the burden, but you share the mission. Every single time, it seems to get to a point where it's like nobody ever puts the same amount into it as I do, and neither should they. Absolutely not, because they're on their own journey, on their own mission, and they've all got their own jobs and their own lives and their own families. So that's on me, 100% on me. And I'm so grateful for those that run about me and have been over the last wee while, and all the work that they're doing and bringing to it. But again, it always feels like stop-start, and I think that the amount of time and effort and what I put into this, nobody can keep up with that. It's impossible, and that's really, something I'm going to have to learn to deal with going forward, is to, taking responsibility, getting it for myself, not looking for others, to do it for me, but to basically, get it for myself. That's been a huge lesson. And where we're at just now, what we created last year with the programme and all the digital stuff that's online, and the new stuff that's going to be going on to the version 2 of the programme. Then the stuff itself, the system, the programme as I call it, the system and all the information, the videos, whether it's breathwork, cold exposure, the heat exposure, the intentional living, all the different parts to this system of the vortex. It's now been created and it's now there, so anybody can access it. And I actually don't need to be there. That's a great thing. So it's absolutely been worth it last year. Even though it almost killed me, it's been great. Getting to the point that we've basically got to. Myself, Michael, and Fern, what they've done has been incredible and invaluable over the last year. And so even if I was to disappear tomorrow, then that's been captured. The stuff is now there. There's enough people around about it. As we saw at the weekend, we had a programme members meet up last Sunday, the community meet up. 18 people in the room at the Vortex, which was right on the limit. Again, it's amazing the amount of times that you can't fit one more person in the room. 18 is the limit, for future, unless we get a bigger space, which is an absolute possibility. But when you hear the stories and you sit round about, like-minded souls on this path, people that have came through this, through the door, whether it's through the free events or came to the Vortex for a Friday night in, or whether it's been a one-on-one or somebody's brought them, and you get to hear their stories, whether it's been for, some of them are only doing about it weeks and months, and others have been doing about it 5, 6, 7 years. And a timely reminder, of the power that's in this work and the good that it's doing. And, the kind of, the mission for me and the people that are around about it and the level that they're at, I've got I say apprentices, it's people around about it that are basically, they're around about me a lot, and they hear me speaking a lot, some of them 2-3 times a week sometimes, and I've got access to the videos every single day. excuse me. And part of the reason that I wanted to basically document all this when it came through for Michael and Fern, so that long after I'm gone, then it's left behind, not just for my wife, my Waynes, or my Gran Waynes, but so it's left behind for humanity, because if it's not documented and basically recorded and be able to be accessed by anybody, then the last 28 years, that they basically come and go, and know that it'll be worth nothing because so many people have benefited from it. At the same time, it's nice to think that there is something left behind of the expansions and the realisations that I've made. The things that I took from my teachers. I have been blessed with some of the most incredible teachers, personal development, spiritual development. Oh my God, where do you even begin? And then I've taken a lot of that stuff and basically shortened it and made it easier. I do believe that's been my intention, so that it can be more accessible to a lot more people. A lot of the stuff that I learned and the time that I had to put into it to learning it, a lot of people wouldn't do it. It's too hard, So me being a bridge builder, creating shortcuts, which is a good thing and a bad thing, I do believe, but it's going to be left behind, So that's a great thing. So there's been not a single thing in vain. It's been a fantastic, especially the last 18 months since Michael and Fern came on the scene, and we decided to create this digital platform called The Programme. And excited obviously for what's coming up with that, the continuous expansion, the other teachers that are going to be going on to that, really exciting. And at the same time, I'm now left in a position of, right, okay, where am I? What do I now do? Because I need to be working, I need to be busy, I need to be constantly expanding. I say all the time that you're either growing or you're dying. Mother Nature is either growing or dying. I'm watching all the trees down this morning, and you can see them already the ones that have been ripped out the ground, they're already starting to make their way into the earth. So we need to be growing, we need to be expanding, we need to be pushing forward. And for me, the way that I'm going to have to do this is by basically stepping back a wee bit to begin with. One step back to have a quantum leap forward. That's the plan. It's a really exciting bit for me, and the reason that is, which is something that I've spoken about on here before, I've never ever really looked after myself in terms of, when I talk about tending to the self or being selfish, or I talk a lot about self-love, and really like nourishing yourself. And really, my entire life, I've never done that. I've always just given myself away with the intention to help people, especially over the last 20 years with this journey. Once I really, at the very beginning probably, but I was really I was immersed in it and I was learning the tools and techniques. But over certainly the last, I would say probably 15 years, it's been all about giving it away and trying to give it to other people. And where I find myself now with that, and obviously it's not worked on many levels. It's worked in different levels, absolutely, but the way for me personally, in terms of what's manifesting in my physical body and the state that I find myself in currently, then obviously, I need to do it in a different way, especially getting into these latter stages of my life. And fascinating to watch how it's unfolded. Really since Christmas time, when I come back from Malaga after overindulging in different areas, things like caffeine, and I had a couple of beers actually, which I don't even drink, a couple of beers, a couple of glasses of wine, certainly overate, and really wasn't in the best place in terms of spiritually. Now, I talk about well-being and this centre, a centre for well-being. It's never really been about physical well-being. For me, it's always been about the spiritual well-being, which again, I know isn't for everybody. In fact, it's for hardly anybody. But that's really what the well-being is. Being a well-being is being in that aligned divine space, in alignment with God. And I'm maybe going to talk a wee bit about that, how the new information is coming through for me, how I'm now being able to share that in a different way. But it's all been about spiritual well-being. And when I came back from Malaga, I had the distraction of the experience live, the 3 Sundays that we did, and really cleaned my diet up, took out most of the processed foods, took away all the coffee. I've had 1 half shot of coffee since I came back, which is 6 weeks ago, and really I felt like that cleansing process, even though I didn't know why I was doing it, I think it's probably prepared me for this stage that I'm now about to go into, because the next level up for me is to really go after it again, which I haven't really done properly since the vortex opened, really because I've been trying to give it to other people. And now this phase, I am absolutely taking my attention. It's still going to be, that's going to be a part of it, but my primary focus now is going to be to look after myself. It's going to be to tend to myself. And the realisation last year of self-love and what that even means, and it's quite funny when you say that, like to love yourself. I was sitting this morning, back at 2, I got up, I was in bed at 8:30 last night, exhausted. I've been going to bed early most nights and waking up most nights during the night. Sometimes I've been sleeping right through, again, just absolutely burnt out, tired. But the last night, lying in bed, I had a good 4 or 5 hours sleep. Back at 2, I woke up. And that choice, to get up and sit in silence and see what's about in terms of what's in the field and what you can get, or do you lie in bed and just think about stuff and worry about stuff and all that kind of thing. So I got myself out of bed, went downstairs, and had a couple of hours of deep meditation last night, and the healing that's coming through is off the back of the spirit. I've got very, very few spiritual teachers that I listen to. Silence and God is my teacher, the inspiration that comes through that. But there's one teacher in particular I'm listening to all the time just now, which is Dr. Hawkins. All these books here, Discovery of the Presence of God, Transcending Levels of Consciousness, The Eye of the Eye, Truth versus False. So this one here that I spoke about last week, Power versus Force. He has been, run about me again for the last probably 45 weeks in a way that I haven't really immersed myself in his work before, and I'm hearing it in different levels again for the first time, which is great. A lot of people, when they listen to his stuff, I got him through Wayne Dyer probably 20 plus years ago. Wayne Dyer's desire was to make him famous because of the power in his work. Anybody does not know Dr. Hawkins, he is the man responsible for the scale of consciousness, in a way that you calibrate. Difficult to explain this. You need to really go and watch him and probably spend 6 months just tuning into him. But basically he has a test through kinesiology, and he explains it way better than I could ever do. But you're basically using the body as like a lie detector, not really a lie detector, but a truth detector. You're able to tap in, to this field of consciousness and ask any question and get the answer to anything there has ever been. And you can calibrate, different levels or frequencies or vibrations, all the way from the lowest levels, despair, shame, guilt, grief, hopelessness, and then when you start to hold these thoughts in mind or these feelings in mind, you can test. 2 people doing it, you can actually test where they calibrate on a scale of consciousness that goes from 0 at the bottom all the way up to 1,000 at the top, and that's logarithmic, so it's multiplied by itself, I believe, 250,000 times. I may have picked it up wrong. So the numbers are too big to even contemplate. And watching his work and listening to him again and again, you've got a reason for doing this yourself. He talks a lot about healing and the pathway to healing. All the stuff that I've been dealing with, whether it's the traumas, the addictions, the challenges that I've faced, especially the spiritual journey as well. He's able to. I'm saying he makes it easy. He makes it easy for me because I've been listening for 20 years now, and I've read all his books, and I've really devoted myself to his work. If you get in tune into him for the first time, it might be a wee bit tricky. So please, if it calls you, go and listen to him. He talks about how you raise your consciousness, which is what it's all about. How we raise our consciousness to that place of enlightenment. That's what it's all about. That's why it ties in so well with my work. But even just reading that book, what you would experience just by reading that book of his, Power versus Force, and the shift in your consciousness you would get is something that it would take you many, many lifetimes just by reading one book. You can get it very, very quickly. And a lot of the things that he talks about is compassion for yourself, which I'd never had up until very recently. My own journey and the healing that has taken place on so many different levels for myself over the years. I think of some of the people I've had to forgive and some of the things that have happened to me that I've had to forgive and get beyond and see, the reasons that perhaps that it happened, and then seeing the role that certain people played within different situations, and then, how you get beyond that, especially the heavy stuff. How do you find forgiveness for something that's affected you so negatively in so many different ways, and being able to navigate my way through that. And then just recently, over the last probably couple of months, really like compassion for myself. The C word, compassion. And compassion, anybody doesn't really know, compassion is the ability to see the suffering in another human being. But it's different from getting in there and suffering with them. The way that I use it is to see where people are, and then what can you do to help them, elevate them and lift them up and help them raise up themselves. That's really what compassion is for me. When you have awareness and the power of intention, how you use compassion is very different from just suffering with somebody, which is probably the literal definition of it. That's not what it's about. It's really seeing another human being and then having the awareness and the power of intention to make it better. That's what compassion is through this work. That's absolutely what I do every single day. Compassion for others, and then try to help them the best that I can. That's what it's all about. And compassion for myself is something I've never had. My own journey, and in the past, I never really felt sorry for myself ever. I always kind of felt that this work, and especially when I experienced that enlightenment, the direct experience of the divinity that was inside of me, that basically healed just about everything. But then when you get that, you come back into this realm again. You're back into the human ways, and I think because of a lot of the time that I spend around about the stuff that I've been through, again, you're not really qualified to help you if you're not going through it yourself, and that's certainly the case for me. So when I'm talking about the heavy stuff, the stuff you're not meant to get beyond, the people are sharing their stories with me, absolutely I take that on. There's no question about it. And from the higher states back into the ego level, the human experience, it's very, very challenging, and it can be very, very detrimental, no question about it. And me, without probably realising the dinks that I've taken along the way, and even how far that I've came, compassion for my own journey, compassion for my own story, compassion for me as a human being and as a soul in this lifetime has been something I never even considered. And that's something I've started to bring in very, very recently, like seeing what I've been through, and then having compassion for myself. And then he takes it to another level where he talks about self-love and how you love yourself. And again, love, the perception of love is two dudes standing at a bar, full of gear, like, I love you, Stephen, not that kind of love. Love is a frequency. As I discovered when I came back from that enlightened experience, real love, authentic love, the love of the divine. That's why I do believe they say that God is love. What I experienced when I became that presence was a feeling of love I'd never really felt before, on a way that, I would wish in anybody, because it fixes everything that it touches. So sitting this morning in meditation, and I'm thinking about this concept, watching Hawkins the last couple of days, talking about, self-love and loving yourself, and that's where the healing comes from that I require on every level, as well as the physical stuff I'm dealing with just now. But to love yourself, to really be in that space, I was able to get it this morning in a way I'd never got it before. And the way that I did it, and the way that I do it, is probably, it ties in very well with the way that I'm able to just now, the concept of God and what God is. God for me is a unified field of intelligence. It's almost like if you closed your eyes and you could, in every direction to infinity and beyond, Buzz Lightyear, but to go as far as you can imagine, endless, boundless, timeless, without end, basically, so to infinity. This field, this presence, this energetic intelligence, source energy would be a great way where everything comes through. That consciousness is the word that I use. That's my preferred word, and some people call it God. And I talk about the way all the time. Again, the way is another name for it, because it's very difficult to put it into words and to give it a label. The Tao Te Ching, which is up there as well, basically says that how can you name that which cannot be named? It's from the human level of mind and the words and the intellect. How do you explain that? You can't, and that's why you need to experience it. So that's why when I'm doing the breath work, when we get out of the head and switch off the stress in the head, then the process of reconnecting back into your heart, which is the intelligence of the heart, the feelings and your emotions in your heart. That's why I take people up the scale, from a place of, whatever they're coming in with, despair, desperation, hopelessness, people that are broken, people that are a place where they don't want to continue in terms of suicidal. That's just chronic stress and really a casualty of war, where they get to a point where they've had so many dunks along the way it becomes like unbearable, and that just massive chronic overwhelmment gets them to a place where they've had enough. A place where I was a long time ago, so I know what that feels like. And I also know the vibration and the intention of hope was what pulled me out of that hole. That man that gave me hope all the years ago, I basically gave me a hug and saying everyone's going to be fine. It took someone who was hopeless and gave them hope. So when you understand that, that's the reasons that I do the way that I do it. Anybody that's been about this work and been through a breathwork session with me, whether it's the online stuff or in person, then when you start to climb the scale and you start to remember what we human beings have access to and what you're able to feel and how you're able to feel, then at that point the whole world changes. And right at the top of the tree is love, is unconditional love. And when you feel the presence of that field, when I come back from that first really profound, like metaphysical, life-changing experience, everything changed in that moment and in that space. When I came back, Can he do it justice in words? Can he talk about it in words? But what did it feel like? And it felt like love, absolutely. But now, when I think about it, it feels like the way that it's meant to be. That's why I believe that the way is a great way of describing it. The way that it's meant to be. It's this world. Even this is the world, the ego, absolutely. But the universe and consciousness, and there's absolutely darkness in it. But the way that it's meant to be, I do believe. In fact, I know that the way is meant to be. The light. So the solutions, the possibilities, the truth. So again, the truth that sets us free. It's the feelings of appreciation. It's the feelings of gratitude. It's the feelings of joy. It's absolutely the feelings of love. It's all the good stuff. It's all the life affirming, life confirming emotions and feelings and vibrations. It's the stuff that makes things better. And if you were to take every single bit of that and add it all together and multiply it logarithmically, easy with my teeth, the way that Hawkins puts it, 10 times, like 250,000 times. If you take those feelings and those emotions of unconditional love and you expand that out beyond time and space for as far as you can imagine, and then some, but there's no end to it. That's really what God is to me. That's what the field of consciousness is to me. And interesting when you think about religion. I've been talking a wee bit about religion this week, and how people come in here a lot with their ideas of religion and what religion is. And I grew up in religion, and I'm thinking of Vivekananda just now, who said that it's great to be born into organised religion, but it's terrible to die in it. I love that. Great to come in, it's like a kindergarten, and I had a great schooling in terms of, I grew up in the Catholic faith, Catholic Church. I was blessed by an absolutely incredible priest who was a good friend of the family, a good man, like a holy man, only goodness. Father Gallagher, his name was, a beautiful soul. And, I think back to some of the services that he put on, and a lot of it was in Latin back then as well, and the sacred, obviously the music and the geometry and his intentions as a holy man, a man of God. And, some of the experiences that I got were incredible. But the challenge is Wayne Dyer taught me, it's like organised religion. It's really about separation, and you see that in the world just now. You just need to flick on anywhere on YouTube. The world is, at this moment in time, it's like a holy war. You look what's going on in the Middle East and all the fighting over the significance to a bit of ground that was mentioned in the Old Testament, how many thousand years ago, or somebody's interpretation of something that happened all the years ago. So organised religion, come in and we'll give it to you. That's a huge challenge for me because you can't get it there. You really can't. And spirituality is very difficult even to get it there. Again, Hawkins talks about how it takes 25 years to experience enlightenment. So I was probably 18 years till I got that direct experience of the divinity inside of me. And now, with this work and the way that I'm taking people through it, with the ability to switch off the stress, and because of my certainty and my knowing how it goes together, people are experiencing it. It's certainly the reconnection back to the self. Inside the first session. It was interesting last week, one of the lads that's run about this, who's involved in going through the 12 steps, and one of the things that he said was that the 12 steps, how it's, until step 4 or 5, you don't really get to know who you are. That was a direct quote. And I heard it at the time and I took it on board, and I'm going like, but the divinity that's inside of you, that presence, if the way that I do it, the way that we do it, when we connect in, it's like, and I know the steps, I've read the steps, and I didn't get through the steps, they weren't for me, I missed that one. But I know a lot of people that are still going to those meetings. I know a lot of people that live their life by them, and well done to them if that's what's working for them. But it's so challenging and so hard to climb your way through the steps. The amount of people I've met that are stuck on a certain step and they can't get beyond it, and so progress, and they get disheartened and everything stops. I've heard some horror stories, with that whole thing, the whole, so many different times. And I really do, as people know that watch me, I believe it's so limited and it's outdated, and even especially for the young team coming up, the modern generation that I've got. Talk about addictions. Choose your poison, so to ask them to go in and listen to stuff for the 1930s and the language that's involved in that, it doesn't work. It's not going to work. You maybe get one out of I don't know how many, and I mentioned the statistics last week, how success is between 8 and 12% they claim, and success being you need to go to meetings for the rest of your days, and I talk about getting beyond it and getting beyond the transcendence of the addiction by the one step, as I call it, which there's going to be a programme coming up, I believe April time I'm going to release it. So the direct experience of the divinity that's inside you, that's what spirituality is. You don't need to go to anybody to get it. Now, there is power, absolutely. There's great power, high calibrated power. Hawkins talks about it as well, the power within the groups, within the 12 steps, within the, talks about the Course in Miracles as well, how the calibrated levels within those groups and the power behind them, absolutely. But, as I discovered, the kingdom of God is within you. Be still and know that I am God. As above, so below. It's inside of you, so you don't really need to go anywhere to get it, and that's where meditation is so important. And sitting this morning, in that field and feeling what God is to me, it's all the stuff I just spoke about. It's that feeling. It's like like Ram Dass says, we're all just walking each other home. It's like being home. It's like being connected back into the source. Where it's recharging the battery of your soul, and sitting in the presence of that, and just that knowledge, that knowing that everything is fine, everything's going to be okay, that you're protected, that you're okay, that you're loved, absolutely. And the feeling of love, that's the one that keeps coming up, because when you're sitting in it, as I was this morning, when you're sitting in that silent space, there's like an overriding presence and this overriding feeling of unconditional love. And when you get good at it, in terms of how it goes together, and you're able to switch this off and quiet the mind and use your feelings to navigate your way into it, which for me happens inside like seconds now. I can shut my eyes and I'm in it straight away because of all the hours I've put into it over the years. Every single day now for the last 28 years, hundreds of thousands of hours I've sat in silent meditation. So when I sit in silence, very quickly, the wee dog that's behind the screen, I can feel how much I love her and how much she loves me, and I've just generated a feeling of unconditional love. I can remember her walking out in the woods that day, and just how happy and joyful she is. We met a woman this morning, and the first thing she says was like, look at the joy in her. And the dog literally wakes up laughing, smiling and whistling every single morning. I'm going to video it one morning how she comes in and greets me. I was in meditation this morning, she came in and she basically pinned me up on my chest and she was licking my face. It must have been about 10 minutes, and it was just this, she couldn't contain herself, her excitement for the day and her love for me, which was absolutely beautiful. It was really incredible. So to be sitting in meditation and feeling that, you can remember very quickly, and then I can switch to my wife or my wains, or, and you can use gratitude to basically lift yourself up, so no matter where you're starting from, and you start to really feel, and then once you feel it within yourself, then it's very, very easy to feel it outside of you. And that presence, that field of energetic-ness, whatever you want to call it, that field of consciousness, when you tap into that and you feel, the power of the divine, the power of God. For the last wee bit, I've really been focusing on devotion to God, like my love for God, my love for the divine, my love for the way, the way of doing things right, the way for the truth, the way to make this world and be in spirit and be inspired and get the world back to the way that it's meant to be. It's been going one way. I've been in a devotional relationship with the divine, full God, I call it. And this morning, things switched around a wee bit because I was able to take that feeling of projecting it out the way in devotion to God and basically bring it back in towards myself. Now, I'm not talking about Jim, I love you Jim, standing in the mirror, none of that kind of stuff, but really for this being, this essence of the divinity that I carry inside of me, and I was able to turn it back the way and really feel love for that, love for the self, tending to myself. And a couple of things that happened during the process, like big energy flashes that came through my body, which I haven't had in a long time. Again, when you can quiet your mind and you basically surrender to God, to the divine, and you basically let it go. When you stop trying to make it happen. I remember when I was trying to become enlightened, and any time I got close to it, I could feel it. I was so close to it for years and years and years, and it would start to unfold, and I would immediately try to make it happen, and I would lose it for another year and a half, and nothing would happen. And it was really when I got it, it was really by stopping trying to get it and really handing it over, and by being open. The art of allowing. Abraham used to talk about just allowing it to happen to you. That's when 3 or 4 times it's probably happened to me, and it was always at a time when I wasn't expecting it, when I wasn't trying to get it. And certainly this morning, when I was sitting in that field of love and I was turning it back in towards myself, and tending to me, and really the realisation that from this point forward, I'm going to be doing this a lot more. I'm going to be getting it for myself. I'm going to be tending to myself. I'm going to be looking after myself. I'm going to be selfish in terms of loving myself, in terms of including myself within that sacred vibration. Then I knew very, very quickly that everyone's going to be fine. Everyone's going to be okay. And it gets to the point now where I'm really excited for what's coming up, what's about to unfold. What's next? That's a bit that's starting to excite me again. I've went to another level just over the last few days. All processed food is gone. Anything that's detrimental to my physical being has been taken away. I've been, again, interested in how I decided I was going to do a medical medium cleanse within the programme group, which starts on the 3rd of March. So after the One Day to Change Your Life, which is Saturday the 1st of March, so Saturday, Sunday, on the Monday, we start the medical medium 369 cleanse to heal. We're going to do one of the cleanses from him, which I've done many times before, and just interesting how that came about, and then these symptoms manifested within my physical body, this ease, and now where I'm at with it, and excited to go on this healing journey in terms of who I'm going to become, and especially the spiritual expansion and the spiritual experiences I'm already starting to get, but I know it's coming for that. My plan is to reach the elevated states I was before. When I opened this place up, I gave it all up. I really did. I just decided to start giving it away and helping people, and ended up knowing the best of places where I'm at just now, or where I was, but certainly just now where I'm standing, where I'm sitting right here and right now, and looking forward to the year ahead. Looking forward, we have so many changes coming up on family levels and personal levels, and there's a lot of really, really good stuff going on, and the realisation of, for me to fulfil my potential, and for me to stand before God when she asked me, how did you do? I just want to say one thing: I did my best. And really, I was doing my best to a certain level, but there's many levels to this, and the next level up for me, is to go to a place I didn't even know existed. It's going that full God, like devotional, loving practice to the divine, and to the way, and to the truth, because that's what's required in this world just now. And then when I get it for myself, the way that it's already starting to come through me, the way that I'm able to help people, during the day, especially with the coaching stuff. People don't really realise I'm a coach. That's what I do. That's my favourite work, is coaching. One-on-one coaching is my absolute favourite thing to do in this world. And I think because people see the big events, whether it's the big outdoor, the cold water stuff, or the breathing, or the corporate stuff, or even they go into the website. I realise website, I'm not even getting a bit for coaching on my website, which is just absolute madness. But I'm a coach. That's what I like to do, and especially when it's one-on-one, because it's tailored specifically for them, not by me, but the information that comes through, and the results that we get, by basically, the modalities of the breath work and the relaxation, and the awarenesses and intent, all the stuff that puts it together, but the way that it comes through, and the relief and the real life that people are experiencing through my coaching services, and helping people with that desire to help people. What's going to come from that, by me tending to myself, and the stuff that really, really excites me, that's probably the biggest thing that excites me just now. The big stuff's great, the corporate stuff and the stage stuff, that's exciting from a human being perspective. That definitely gets the juices going, and it really kind of sharpens me up. But the one-on-one stuff, the real heavy stuff that people have been searching for years and years and years to get beyond, when I get the opportunity to spend time with people like that, and there's nobody about, and it's just the two of us, that's my favourite work, So by doing this work, by tending to myself, by really properly getting with myself, everybody's going to benefit. That's the thing. It's a thing where, again, being selfish, when I say that to mummies, like, you need to be selfish, you need to tend to yourself, and they give their whole life away, and it gets to a point where there's nothing left, and that's certainly where I've been, so now, take responsibility. It's my work, it's mine and nobody else's. Gratitude for those that are trying to help the best that they can, but I need to take responsibility, and there's going to be a few changes within that as well. It's been a time of much contemplation, and that's something that I also brought back this morning from meditation. Meditation is almost like a trap, because when you're in that realm, it's great. I never want to leave it. I get to a point where it's just you're in that space, connected to the divine, you don't want to leave. But then you come back to reality, and you walk outside the gate, and you maybe see somebody you don't like, and the human beingness comes back. So my job now, it feels like it is, in fact, it doesn't feel like it is, that's what's coming through, is to become like a excuse me a wee second, is to make your life like an eyes open, contemplative, like walking, aware, awake meditation. That's what it feels like, to bring that stuff that I've gathered over all the years, and still do that, still obviously do the meditations, all the work that I do, the inspiration comes through in that space, no question about it. But then it's like, how do you take it into your world, how do you take it into your life, so that you're that way as often as you can be, and eventually all the time. There's a thing within Saj Mark, the system, called constant remembrance. constant remembrance of the divine, just being in that constant state of the awareness of God, and being in the presence of it. I mean, that's my goal, to be like that all the time, and when you're like that and you're in those higher states, then I expect miracles. I really do. Miracles can be something as simple as switching off stress, or teaching somebody how to sleep when they've had a lifetime of just chronic stress and inflammation and can't get a break from themselves. That can be terms of like a miracle. But then there's the real miraculous stuff, the healings and the quantum shifts in consciousness that take place, where people really get to transcend very, very quickly, by one moment or one experience when they tap in to that power that's inside every single one of us. That's the stuff that's exciting me now. And the way that I get to do that is by really going after it for myself and nothing else, and then everybody will benefit in the background, so really excited for what's next. And it's all about the intentional life. That's what it is. That's what the whole thing is. It's not about the spirituality stuff, and it's not about it's a combination of everything. It's about fulfilling your potential. It's about taking back your power. It's about taking back control. It's about living your life with intention, so that you realise that life is actually coming from you and it's not happening to you. That's where mostly everybody is. Life is just happening to them every single day. And by the power of awareness, the power of intention, the waking up to the realisation that there's something much greater going on, you get to realise the part that you play in it. And feeding on nicely, that's what One Day to Change Your Life is all about. I'm getting asked, what is One Day to Change Your Life? What's it about? Is it about the cold exposure? And I'm not even thinking about the cold exposure anymore. I'm really not. It's a great tool. Cold exposure is a fantastic tool, but there's so much more to it than just cold exposure. The breath work is way more important and far more significant than cold exposure. You learn to breathe properly with function and with intention. It'll absolutely change your life. Murphy's about to kick off here. I think that's my wife coming back. And that's One Day to Change Your Life. You come in, you see the kind of playbook, you'll see the instructions or behind the programme, what the programme actually is, and we're going to be talking about every single bit of it. You get to learn how to breathe properly, you get to learn what living with intention is all about, you get to learn the power through direct experience that's inside you. We Murphy girls want to get out. You get a wee bit if you want. Cold exposure is optional. We're going to be sitting in the river, it's going to be absolutely freezing. Excited for that. But then at the end of the day, we put it all back together again and we explain what intentional living is all about, and then we add in the relaxation and the meditation and the connection not just to yourself but everybody else, as well as Mother Nature with the river, which is fantastic. At that point you'll get to know what the programme is all about, and at that point you'll have choices to make, because once you leave that day, it's literally one day to change your life. Again, I saw it last week, some of the people, it was the first time that I've been around about this work, and they came in, like a wee bit, what is this all about? And it's a really bold statement, one day to change your life. But if I do my job properly, and I've been doing it long enough now where I kind of know how it goes together, and you get the experience of it, it's not about me sitting talking about it, it's the direct experience of that power that's inside you and the reconnection back to the divinity that's in every single one of us. The light comes back on, and at that point, once you've got the guidebook, which is a programme, once you have the ability to navigate your way through your life, why? So you can be in that flow state of well-being every single day. When you're in that place of feeling good and being happy and being joyful, it doesn't matter what comes your way. And that's what the programme is all about. The programme is all about intentional living, to get to that place that life actually comes from you. So you get to predetermine what happens in your life simply by tending to yourself. The process of the wheel, that explains all of that, the wheel of your life and the hub. Once you get to that place where you realise that it's you again, as my wife just says, it's you again. It's you, it's me again. Take responsibility. What do I need to do to make this better? Nobody's going to do it for me. What can I do and what do I need to do to make this better? That's what I've been for the last week. I'm no different for anybody else. I'm just making my way back on my own programme, tending to myself, lifting up all these spokes to the wheel every single day so that I can fulfil my potential. Very, very simple. March the 1st, One Day to Change Your Life, that's the next big event. After that, there's going to be the One Step. We're going to be talking about the One Step very soon, once One Day to Change Your Life's out the road. All about addiction and transcending addiction very, very quickly. I've got some really cool stuff to do with that. I've been an addict my whole life, good and bad. A lot of positive addictions are not that good for you either. A lot of that stuff can kill you, so it's like how you transcend the addiction, how we replace the addictions, how we get beyond the addictions, and that's talking about the healing and getting stuff up and getting it out and then replacing it with all this good stuff, So as Murphy moves into the shot, I would wish you a good day wherever you are. I send my love, all the best to you and yours. Thanks again for tuning in, thanks for listening. Inwards, onwards and upwards as one. God bless, peace out, take it easy, and bye for now.